Hi everyone, I'm Airier, and Team Super Eyepatch Wolf's The Simpsons is good again. Part 2, because Part 1 hurt so much I had to stop. Last time around, he looked at the okay seasons, followed by showing that okay meant, oh my god, what the fuck is wrong with you? You're literally destroying everything that could possibly be good here, to the point where it's literally just the equivalent of ASMR humor, where it's just joke after joke after joke after joke after joke after joke, to the point where you don't actually hear the individual words, just the individual beats, and they don't actually make sense because nothing actually lands, so nothing has to, and it just overwhelms you with a sheer avalanche of bullshit. I have an idea what we're getting into. I've been told that the good stuff is still coming, so maybe I'm not misreading exactly what this entire video is, and I'm not going to be any more scarred for life by just the knowledge that this entire thing has just been an existence of, hey, remember your childhood? Let's crush it. Yeah, I don't believe it either. Let's get started.
We've already seen how prioritizing joke count creates these frantic nonsense plots, as the plot's main focus now isn't to build a meaningful narrative journey, but to create zany scenarios where those jokes can happen.
And I remember, like, he described what I thought was the entire plot of the episode, and it was the first 5 minutes. I don't, why? Super Eyepatch Wolf, you already hurt me by bringing it up. Why are you doing it again? Literally, it was an example of jokes existing where the plot and everything about the episode just was a vehicle to get the joke in there, and they just threw things at the wall and made everything fit, and nothing actually fit.
But it also goes much deeper than that. Because the joke count has to remain so high, it means the type of joke that gets used are these absurd non sequiturs, silly visual gags that can come out of nowhere and just...
Admittedly, this is a really cool concept. The bar getting a train to deliver the beers. It's stupid, but it's the kind of stupid I would like. Once, until it inevitably spills. Unless they had really tall glasses that were actually not filled all the way, and wouldn't look as presentable, but it would be really interesting. This seems like a gimmick cafe I would go to.
And just kind of be shoved into a scene as opposed to meaningfully
What
growing from its story or characters. Something that would require more
Okay.
dialogue and setup. So instead, we get jokes like Abe is talking to Lisa, Abe walks away, and then Abe appears on Lisa's phone screen, still talking. The joke being, Abe is annoying, I guess. Now, I'm no...
Really? I thought it was just old people walk away while still talking to you. Granted, I have family members who aren't old, who still do that, and who wouldn't understand how to use FaceTime, so good for him.
Joke cop, but I think that's
It's not funny.
pretty weak, and if that sounds like an oddly specific joke to hone in on, I do so because some variant of it happens multiple times across multiple episodes, and is the kind
I paused at a weird moment, but okay, and she has a dartboard behind her.
of wouldn't it be silly humor that dominates these seasons. Wouldn't it be silly if a rich guy bowled with champagne bottles? Wouldn't it be silly if a baby danced like Elvis? Wouldn't it be silly if an envelope talked? Wouldn't it be silly if an Irish priest pulled out a leprechaun? Okay, hey, listen.
I know he's saying, wouldn't it be silly, but I'm just thinking the entire time, no, this isn't silly. It's not even funny. It's situational humor that might be built up to if you're not expecting it, but if there's no shock value, which you wouldn't get because this doesn't let you get time to hit any shock, it's not going to be funny. It's just, hey, here's one more random thing. Oh my god, they're literally showing an example of Helsing Abridged. You're not demanding respect, you're demanding attention, and it's not worth it.
I just want to say that I have literally never had a conversation with another Irish person about leprechauns. That's something Americans pretend we do. Don't know why. So fucking weird.
I mean, we're Americans. We're pretty fucking weird. Also, the fact that the Irish Americans are just as American as anyone else, but we can also say stupid things because we are Irish. I mean, to be fair, I'm a complete mutt in general, so I can say that for most countries. But it's a privilege I will abuse horribly. And also not abuse because I'm just an asshole in general, but we're going to ignore that part.
To be fair, classic Simpsons could be pretty zany as well, but critically, those jokes were paced out a lot better and also said something. Both of which you can see in one of my all-time favorites, the Gentle Ben talk show. A bear hosting a talk show is a pretty zany idea, and I feel like in the style...
Wait, so when they talked about Gentle Ben, they actually meant this gag in The Simpsons? I've heard people make reference to it, how it's apparently a stupid name of an actual show. I didn't realize it's an actual show in The Simpsons.
Of modern Simpsons, that would be where this joke would end and we'd move on. But here, we're left to marinate in the uncomfortable tension of how bad an idea this is. Before the tension boils over with Ben going berserk, the entire scene crescendoing into this ludicrous and horrifying punchline as Ben collapses onto the audience and we cut to this title card. And the thing is, it actually happened. Gentle Ben
Are you fucking serious?
title card. And the thing is, it actually happened. Gentle Ben...
No, I didn't misview that. I didn't just hallucinate those last few seconds. That actually happened. This is a real thing. Why? You know, there's probably a statistically relevant amount of people who saw this show and who later died to bears. It's like spiders are our friends in Australia. No, nothing is your friend in Australia. They all want to kill you. Eating you is optional on top of that. Everywhere else, it's for food. Australia, it's for murder. I'm overhyping it a bit because some of the spiders, like, you know, they're useful. They'll get rid of bugs. Others are just going to murder you.
Was a TV show where in one episode, a small child actor was changed to a real 300-pound live bear, making this entire piece not just absurdly hilarious, but this ludicrous commentary on the insane...
They actually chained an actor. An actual child was chained to the bear. I thought it was just going to be a prop dummy and would be dragged around by the bear. No, it was an...
absurdly hilarious, but this...
How is it that the Simpsons version is less terrible? Because it's not actually a real bear, not a real child. Because they actually brought a real child in with a real bear. I don't just... The Simpsons parody is less disturbing than the real thing it's parodying.
Ludicrous commentary on the insane lengths TV executives will and always have been willing to go to.
There's a joke in there about executives, and this came out 3 months ago. Super Eyepatch will be aware of the allegations against the guy in charge of WWE who stepped down again for sex trafficking someone. Yeah, that happened. He says it didn't happen, but also this is the second time he's had to step down and had to pay a lot of money because it's apparently a thing that happens. Ed McMahon is an asshole.
In the name of ratings. It's absurd, but it's grounded in meaning and commentary. But modern Simpsons, even outside the jokes, it so rarely feels like modern Simpsons has anything to say, even when it seems like it's trying to.
Why?
In the episode Bart vs. Itchy and Scratchy, Bart is outraged to see that Itchy and Scratchy is getting a female-led reboot, only for him to join a group of feminist pranksters called Bossy Riot. There's a lot of buzzwords.
Oh, because it's the joke about the Russian band who was then sentenced to jail or gulag status because they made jokes that Putin wasn't happy with, such as, maybe Putin didn't win the election that was rigged. Yeah, funny jokes like that in their music, and that didn't go out well. I think it was a decade of hard labor right after one of the members just had a child, and they weren't going to see them for 10 years. Yeah, I think I remember that part. Yeah. It's like Russia is a dictatorial, authoritarian bullshittery camp. Yeah. Don't go to Russia.
Is used to try and make it seem like the episode is talking about ideas like gender inequality or men's rights groups, but does so about as convincingly as minute 8 of any To Catch a Predator.
Okay, I will give them credit. If this was the highlight of the entire episode, this would be funny. I'm assuming this was up for like 3 seconds and they moved on. That's the bad part. This would actually be a really funny joke. Because if you're just talking about the ridiculousness of it, it would be good. It's a great idea that undercuts itself visually, and you don't have to say a thing about it. Sorry, this actually pisses me off because this is not bad humor. It's just a stupid gag, but it's a stupid gag that could be funny. And I'm absolutely certain that all of the humor was sucked out of this thing. It's like not as bad as the other one with the Gentle Ben, because that's actual human suffering. Not so much the joke, but the fact that the joke could be made at all was horrible. This is horrible because it's actually good, but it's going to be bad in delivery. It's just like watching a master take a dump on a canvas. And yes, I know there are people who have paid money to see that. And that's fucked up in its own right, but I'm going to ignore that and try and repress that information again because I really don't want to remember that.
Episode.
Kelly's way too young for me. I came here to tell her that, actually.
That's true, but I was only in there to get directions on how to get away from there.
Instead, Bart just joins Bossy Riot because they too are pranksters, and that plotline is used to drive a lot of zany visual humor, with Bart never given the space to reflect on the issues this episode raises. And honestly, this, along with how the show handled the Apu situation, it's just some real coward shit. Like, remember in the season 8 episode Homer's Phobia, when Marge and the kids befriend John, a gay man, and Homer has to spend an entire episode coming to terms with his own internalized homophobia, including a scene where he has his concept of masculinity challenged in one of the all-time best jokes of the show, before realizing that John is actually just a good dude, and the fact that he's gay shouldn't matter. This episode really explored those ideas in a way.
I haven't seen that episode. And honestly, if I had seen that as a kid, I'd be like, whoa, this is shocking. Because growing up in the 90s, you didn't talk about that. And when you did, it was still shocking. Hell, you could say that in 2000s, but it was less so. But this would have been makes perfect sense because 90s Simpsons were actually progressive in the sense that they were moving on from, hey, it's Leave It to Beaver, but with a better camera. You know, I was going to make a joke about that, but that's actually completely accurate to exactly what a lot of sitcoms were. Some of them did well. Others were... I'm going to repress that entire line of thought.
Way that was meaningful and fun, and for 90s television, took some real fucking swings. Bossy Riot was made 20 years after this episode, and yet the closest it comes to saying anything is Bart spray painting "The patriarchy is a wiener," which lands with all the political impact of taking one sock off and hurling it at a government building on a windy day. I have no doubt someone at some point wanted to say something with this episode.
Dario was in the 97? Powerpuff Girls were only a year later. Oh, wow, that... I suddenly feel old. Not what they were going for with this show. Also, Bob's Burgers came out over a decade ago? Not where they were going for this one, but goddamn.
But feeding a good idea into this format is
Isn't
like
it just
feeding
the
a
same
small
characters,
bird
but just
into
with...
an industrial strength meat grinder. This is the kind of storytelling that happens when joke count is prioritized over everything else. But an even more insidious effect is how the characters themselves will contort into whatever shape makes those jokes possible. One bizarre episode sees Homer transform into Atticus Finch from To Kill a Mockingbird.
Are we talking just To Kill a Mockingbird, or the sequel, which turned out that he was a generic racist asshole who just did what he thought was right because losing a case was more important to him than his own racism? Yeah, the sequel kinda... I think the term is sucked. But also, I mean, it was the writer just getting a payout because she never wrote another article or a novel ever after that. And this was the, oh yeah, no, I'm going to write a book after decades of not writing ever again. And apparently because it was so heavily edited by Truman Capote, we can kind of guess why she never wrote another one. Yeah, there's drama there.
And if you
this
think
probably never touched on any of that.
You should watch the episode. But the character that suffers from this most is Marge. Marge is a complicated character within The Simpsons. She's brilliant, smart, artistic, and creative, but she's also someone whose life hasn't really worked out like she thought it would.
I mean, minus the actual good attributes. That's basically most people's lives, so I get that. Hell, I live that.
Her own needs frequently
No, scratch that. Awesome wife. Can't say that. I have a good wife. My wife... Oh god, I'm the Homer in my relationship. Huh. Well, speaking of more things I need to repress, this is a very repressing episode, apparently. Wow. I am going dark places in mentality that I need to write down, apparently to get a therapist, because I can speedrun this shit at this point.
squashed by the demands of her children and husband, creating an unfulfilled longing in her, a longing balanced out only by her massive reserves of patience and love for her family. And particularly with Homer, she sees his stupidity, she sees his selfishness, but she also sees the kind person and father he is underneath those things and loves him for it. That is what Marge Simpson is. If you were to write out a list of defining unalterable parts of her, those are the things you would have to include.
And I'm assuming his next line is, and then they cut them out for a stupid joke. Because the characters aren't characters anymore, they're vehicles for just getting a joke in that the writers decide to write up, and they don't care about the actual characters making the joke.
Season 30 takes that list, and Goku Kamehamehas it into the fucking sun.
So it ultimately does kill the villain, even though the stronger attacks don't? Got it.
In one episode, we discovered that it had...
Oh, did that say dreams shattered? Dreams shattered, and it's all of the kids' stuff. Oh, that's actually not a bad joke in the background, but not where they're going, probably.
Discovered that it has actually been Marge's lifelong dream to be a contestant on a reality TV show.
Why?
Where Homer are selected before immediately failing out at the very first task, and confined to the island's hotel for the rest of production, causing Marge to become bitter and resentful towards Homer, getting
I'm assuming they're still on the reality TV show.
drunk, lashing out at him, belittling him, flirting with other men in front of him, and even swapping husbands to get back on the show. And Jesus Christ, if we recover that list of scorched remains, we can see
Creativity is removed by just going on reality TV unfulfilled. She would getting her dream and just doing anything to get it. Massively patient, no patience, loves her family, and actively being horrible. Yeah.
how this episode takes that careful, beautiful construction of the Marge Simpson's character and replaces it all with really, really, really wants to be on reality TV.
And admittedly, if anyone says, my dream is to be on reality TV, run. That is a sociopath. You do not want to know what they have done in their past. They will probably try and murk you. And I don't mean murder. I mean they will actually take out contracts to see if you can be brought into a random Caribbean organization and hooked up with a bunch of people who will kill for money, or maybe just guard someone's plantation and you don't want to ask what that plantation is made of. They will do that to you, and you will have no choice because for some reason you've got along with it and you're so far in that there's no other way to get out, and they know where your family lives. Also, you may or may not have done to a few other people, so if anyone finds out, they could just go to the cops and you never leave prison again. You know, the normal way.
And it makes for a truly detestable episode where we see the
I would have just
tender,
quit this.
loving relationship of Marge and Homer
Oh, I turned
replaced
captions
by
on.
two people
Huh,
who
didn't
just
know I could do that.
shouldn't be together.
Yeah.
And the result is the uncanny feeling that you are watching a different show wearing the skin of The Simpsons.
Admittedly, there's a lot of TV shows where the underlying funny aspect is these two people hate each other. Everybody Loves Raymond, for example. The show would have been easier if he was like, everybody loves Raymond. So Raymond got a divorce from his wife, cut contact with his family, except for his brother, who was awesome and still a dick, but also awesome, and then did anything else. And it would be like, wow, I might have enjoyed this show. I can't stand Everybody Loves Raymond. Every time I watch it, I'm like, I hate all of these people. I hate them all. Ray Romano, yeah, he's fine. I have no real complaints about the acting. I just didn't like the show writing itself. I just found it annoying. And they would have basically been doing that show instead right here, and that's probably why I would have hated this episode.
Ultimately, this is what season 29 and 30 are. They are a reverberation of something that happened a long time ago. They are an echo without an identity. A TV show that feels terrified you'll get bored and change the channel.
Admittedly, yeah... he's right. It's basically keeping you entertained on the short term because they can't hold your attention on the long term. Even when they had a joke that if they built up to it, it would be funny. The men's right group with the name bra without realizing what that is, that kind of obliviousness that is funny both because a lot of men's rights groups are jokes who are completely unaware idiots. It's like whenever you see an incel, every single one of them is stupid. And I'm going to stand by that because they are. Also sometimes violent because, again, they are. I just, And then you get into this, and they had such potential to go full-on South Park scorcher. Oh, God, I'm referencing South Park as an example of not holding back and good writing. And I'm not even saying it's wrong. Hell, I'm going to say something controversial here. Based on everything he said, Family Guy could have done this better. Seth MacFarlane's writing has come a long way from just the haha stupid funny joke, haha stupid fine joke. Oh God, they reverse positions. The Simpsons started and they were cutting, and then Family Guy copied it, but they were just the joke a minute trying to keep your attention. But it's kind of shifted to the Family Guy is still a joke a minute to keep your attention, but every now and again they will let a joke cook and become uncomfortable. And I'm very much talking about when a certain episode where there's a limited amount I can say about this, but a song came on and a guy was hypnotized to perform actions, culminating in happening to the wrong person. And there was a good 30 seconds of silence in a car where they're just driving away traumatized. And that's the joke. The trauma was the joke, and they just kept it on there, and it kept it uncomfortable and awkward and just disturbing because you had to just see the silence and the horror and just the blood-curdling scream right before it ripped out of Lois's mouth. Also, I don't know why I forgot Peter Griffin's name for a second there, but I did. And that is something that current Simpsons couldn't do because it would involve being quiet for 5 seconds. They have actually somehow shifted positions. The good old-fashioned one is Family Guy's derivative of The Simpsons, like most other things are, but it's just stupid humor. And then I'm thinking, no, they have examples of Seth MacFarlane writing really good humor and keeping it going, while The Simpsons is the example of stupid things to keep your attention. I hate everything about this. Also, randomly, if anyone sees the new show Ted, and not the movies, the actual TV show, it's surprisingly good. And that's weird. Like, it really shouldn't be good. Like Ted, the first movie, it really shouldn't be good, but it kind of is. And it's weird. Also, like the Simpsons movie, it was actually really good. And apparently that was still followed by a bunch of other dumb shit. Oh, the Simpsons movie was good because they actually give themselves time to let it cook so it could be good. Yeah, that makes sense.
Terrified you're going to forget what this used to be.
Oh, that went 3 days
so
first.
It constantly reminds you. It constantly makes surface level joke after joke after joke to distract you that underneath whatever was here
Flamingo Nose
is gone.
I don't even care. Oh God, why?
I don't think it's awful, but I do think it's something much sadder than
No. I will say awful. It is awful. But also for the reason he's about to point out that it's probably compared to what it used to be, it's just worse. If this is what it started as, it would be like Family Guy. You get the reputation of cheap trash humor, and you never move on from that because you don't care, because it's exactly what you're okay with. But also means that whenever you do anything hard-hitting, it's more shocking. You don't always do it, but when you do, whoa. As opposed to The Simpsons, where hard-hitting should be what it does. It's really good and in-depth, and it's an act.
It's empty. A ghost of this thing that used to exist. As for the final score, when I averaged out the reviews across all episodes, Season 29 scored a 4.9 and Season 30 a 4.4. And as for if there's hope or not,
I was told these were bad, and there's a 41, or were 39 and 38. 40, I don't remember. Oh. That's pretty damn low. And he said it was okay, it's fine. I mean, this would be,
If season 33 and 34 can be more than that, well, it's time to find Silent Hill 2 released
Wait,
in
what?
2001.
Silent
tells the
Hill?
story of James Sunderland.
No, I'm still watching the same video. I didn't just break the screen or something. And I mean, I have accidentally done that before without realizing I clicked a link. But okay, we're jumping
who has
around.
just received a letter from his dead wife telling him to return to their special place, Silent Hill.
Yeah,
A small
why did he do this?
lakeside town where the two shared the happiest moments of their lives. And so, James returns to the quiet town, only to find, instead of the place he remembers, something different, something uncanny and
Oh, that's why he pulled this up. It's probably a clip from a previous video he did on Silent Hill, which I haven't seen. I probably should. But the uncanny valley of something you used to love being now disturbing and horrible. Yeah, comparison works.
frightening, parts of which resemble his memories, but are also so different and wrong. Frightening, not just because of what they are, but what they aren't. This is a video about The Simpsons.
Did it get worse? I thought I'd go further. I thought I could see the good stuff, but I can't, man. I was told it gets better, that I'm only looking at the bad episodes right now, the bad seasons. It's not going to get worse forever, but this entire video was, hey, you know that uncanny valley of horrible things that he talked about at the very end where it's you knew, but worse? If he was giving a pleasant analogy that that's what the previous seasons were like, but before moving into the next seasons, I don't know, man. I can't. I literally can't right now. That was just an entire example of see how bad it was? It gets worse. And it wasn't even that it was bad writing. It's that they're taking what could have been actually good writing and making it bad. That is so much worse because you can see people there are still good writers, but they're being fucked. I mean, it wouldn't even be that bad, except he did that little thing with a gentle bend, showing how Simpsons was parodying it to the point of actual what the fuckery on the screen, and it's horrible. But it's the kind of horrible you are actually there for that's hard-hitting and shows the insanity of reality by comparison to the show. Because in the show, it's bad, but then you realize there's actually real shit behind it. And it's so much worse because you then see what it is now, and that hurt, man. That legitimately hurt. I gotta go. That broke me. Again, I've been told it gets better. But that transition he used about Silent Hill and the uncanny valley effect, about how it's something you love but dark and twisted. I just can't. It's too much of a lead up to something that I know is going to be another gut punch, and I just can't. Maybe in the next video, he'll switch to being good again. And there will be hope because they had good chops in there. They had good jokes that could have worked. Maybe they just won't fuck those jokes up this time. I mean, sure, they've reused jokes in the exact same fashion with different animations, so maybe they'll just do that again, but good. Either way, I'm at my limit for today. I can't, man. You guys know the deal. Link below original video. It's only hurting so much because Super Eyepatch Wolf did a great job showing what it was, what it is now, and how it just degraded in the most documentarian but still fascinating way possible. He did a great job. And if he hadn't, this would not hurt nearly as much, which is basically my tagline for everything I've ever said about Super Eyepatch Wolf videos. It's either wrestling and it's awesome, or you're here to suffer. I thought the Garfield video was weird, but no, apparently it was the tame one. Yeah. Again, link below, hit it up. And if you like this, subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next one. Adios.